A significant cold storm with rain and mountain snow. We'll have all the details straight ahead.
Honoring the life of a young mother who passed away last week. How the Ogden community came together to support her children.
New video of that interaction between the Manaway police chief and the 76-year-old man. Now we see it from the chief's perspective.
Live from Utah's news leader, Fox 13 News at 9 starts right now.
Our top story tonight is the weather. It has been a dark and stormy night in Utah. Hail was coming down hard in West Jordan earlier tonight. Also in West Jordan, thunder in the skies, lightning. Thanks to Trent Sayer for sending this video on Utah's Weather Authority Facebook group. We are taking a live look now at Big Cottonwood Canyon. You can see the snow coming down and you can hardly see anything on the camera. Take a look at this time lapse from the Snow Basin Resort earlier today. You can see that snow blanket, the beautiful landscape, and oh my goodness, Mother Nature in her finest. Utah's Weather Authority, Dina Friedman, joins us now. And Dina, we're not done with this stormy weather yet.
No, this party, we're just in the middle of things right now. So let's take a live look out there. It's starting to still be dark and stormy, wet. We had some thunder, lightning, small hail, and some pretty heavy rain earlier today and mountain snow as well. So here's our current view at our satellite and radar picture. The cold front now just moving through Salt Lake City in the past couple of hours. Our winds have shifted out of the west-northwest, and that cold air going to trickle in all night, and we even have some thunderstorms on the ground now. So we've got some active weather moving into Cache County here and into Bannock County in southern Idaho. So you're going to see a lot of action here going in the Malad area and over by Logan and into the Bear Lake. So expect some thunder, lightning, small hail, gusty winds, and across I-15 here over by Ephraim and Nephi, we're seeing some action now to the south and east of Spanish Fork, so we'll be having some pretty heavy weather there. It's quick moving though, so those thunderstorms will be out in about 30 minutes. They should be past your area there. But even with that, there's some winter weather advisories issued from the National Weather Service, so we do have winter weather advisory for our areas that we're seeing here in purple, and then our winter storm warnings for the highest elevations. Some very active weather tonight, so we have that strong cold front tonight. There are going to be some winter driving conditions, especially at higher elevations, but those snow levels are going to drop, and tonight the heaviest precipitation is in the overnight hours and in the early part of Friday, and we've got freezing temperatures possible as well. And then Saturday we may even have a wind event. So coming up, we'll take a closer look at how much precipitation we're going to expect and what the weather can be, well, what kind of weather we're going to have all weekend long.
Dina, thank you. Honoring the life of a young mother who passed away last week. Fox 13 News reporter Jenna Bree shows us who Erica Carr was and how the Ogden community came together to support her children.
I want the community to come together just to show the love for her because she was a great person.
Erica's sisters feeling the weight of their loss.
She was everything to me, and she was the person who I could run to, and that was always there for me through everything.
Thursday night, community members held a candlelight vigil in memory of the 30-year-old woman who fought cancer and Cushing syndrome long and hard for years.
We do have our nieces and nephews that are really in a hard time right now, and we just, trying to grieve together and just kind of really show people who Erica was. She was a great person, really kind-hearted soul.
Before Erica passed away, she created a GoFundMe to raise $5,000 to cover her funeral and leave some money behind for her kids. In the end, she ended up raising almost $1,300,000.
You see every day, GoFundMe, and it's like this was something special. Like everybody knew Erica, the community. It's just amazing. Like it was just like, wow, we just only wanted what we wanted, and we got more than that.
Gina Barnes says all of the extra money will go into a trust fund for the children to ensure they will live well as they grow up.
She wanted us to be happy, do not be sad. And that's exactly what we're trying to do.
In Ogden, Jenna Bree, Fox 13 News, Utah.
An investigation is underway after shots were fired during a traffic stop in Saratoga Springs today. Police say an officer stopped a driver who gave false information to conceal his identity. The officer eventually found out the driver was wanted for serious crimes and was considered armed and dangerous. They tried to get the suspect out of the car when shots were fired. Police don't know yet who fired or whether anyone was hit.
When an officer fires his weapon, we then sequester the officer, and we as an agency don't question him. That's up to the OICI team.
The suspect took off and nearby schools were put on lockdown. After a short chase, he ran from his car and into a neighborhood where a Department of Public Safety helicopter spotted him in a canal. He was taken to the hospital, but police won't say whether he was shot. A passenger was also detained for questioning. Salt Lake County District Attorney Sim Gill has charged a Salt Lake man with murder in connection with a road rage incident on SR 201 10 days ago. Court documents indicate 45-year-old Thomas Long is accused of cutting off another driver and brake checking them before they crashed into each other and into a concrete barrier. After the crash, Long is accused of getting out of his vehicle and firing 15 shots at the victim, killing them in their truck. Long then called 911, saying his life had been threatened, and he shot the other man after seeing him pull something from his waistband. It turns out the victim did not have any weapons.
When you try to settle issues with a gun, that leads to terrible outcomes. And unfortunately, what was a traffic incident becomes now a homicide. And so, listen, call 911, report the issue, but don't engage in it like this, because it has dire consequences.
Long is being held in the Salt Lake County Jail without bail, awaiting a court appearance. Salt Lake police are warning you about an uptick in car burglaries near the Fear Factory haunted house. Police say there have been 20 break-ins around 800 South, 600 West since September 1st. There were just 4 break-ins in that area during the same time last year. Police also say the suspect or suspects have been targeting people while they're visiting Fear Factory. They suggest you park in well-lit areas, lock your doors, and keep items out of sight. It was standing room only at a town council meeting in Manaway tonight. Neighbors complained about how the police chief arrested, bruised, and bloodied a 76-year-old man. And as Fox 13 News investigative reporter Nate Carlisle explains, there were other complaints too.
Okay, motion passes.
Police Chief Dakota Midkiff wasn't at the Manaway Town Council meeting Thursday, but he was a big item on the agenda.
So I was angry and I said, I am putting a petition together and I am going to have everyone sign this because this will never, ever happen again. Ever on my watch. I will never let this happen again to my neighbor or my friends. I love too many people in this town to see this kind of crap happening.
The petition calls for terminating Midkiff. The chief on October 5th arrested Richard Schultz on suspicion of interfering with a peace officer. Schultz arrived at his daughter's home during a dispute there.
As they struggle while standing up for a few seconds, the chief uses his right leg to, in essence, sweep the feet out and try to bring Mr. Schultz to the ground.
Manaway's attorney, Seth Tate, for the first time played video from Midkiff's body cam. When Midkiff turns Schultz over, you can see the blood on his face.
And then the fact that he resisted the arrest and the detainment, we do feel that weighs in favor of the use of force in this circumstance.
But we need to go about it in the right way. I can't fire someone without due process.
Midkiff remains on paid leave while the investigation continues. Schultz was booked into the Box Elder County Jail, then released. He has not been charged with any crimes. In Manaway, Nate Carlisle, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Coming up, to play or not to play, there are new developments in a lawsuit involving foreign student athletes and the Utah High School Activities Association. We're live. And Democrat Glenn Wright and Republican Mike Kennedy went head-to-head in a debate this evening to replace Utah Congressman John Curtis. How they addressed concerns over housing affordability in Provo. Welcome back to Fox 13 News at 9. We're taking a live look at Little Cottonwood Canyon at Lisa Falls, where you can see the low-lying or low-hanging clouds and the snow coming down. Utah's Weather Authority Dina Friedman will have your full forecast in just a few moments. Tonight, the two candidates for Utah's 3rd congressional district seat took the stage in a debate at BYU. This is to replace Utah Congressman John Curtis, who is running for the Senate to replace outgoing Senator Mitt Romney. Both Democrat Glenn Wright and Republican Mike Kennedy answered questions on a variety of topics for about an hour. They took one question from a BYU student about concerns over housing affordability in Provo and the state of Utah.
Given the rising concern about tenant rights and rental affordability in Provo, what regulations and reforms would you support to ensure a fair and equitable rental market?
But the issue, really is a state issue, and they need to lighten up on the landlord protections. Some of the leaders, most of the leaders in the legislature are real estate developers, so they're taking care of their buddies. Our 3-day eviction rule is ridiculous. We need to expand that. We need to protect tenants' rights.
One of the issues that we confront is when government gets involved, we make it worse. We actually have some opportunities to expand land. That's a big issue in the state of Utah. Almost 70% of our land is constrained and controlled by the federal government. We can't build on 70% of our land. And if we were to follow Mike Lee's lead with the Houses Act, which he's proposed and is sitting in Congress at this point, which is an opportunity for local land authorities, counties and cities, to actually buy contiguous land and build houses as well as rental units on that land.
The Utah Debate Commission is hosting one more debate next week. The 4th Congressional District debate will be at the University of Utah on Thursday, October 24th. Today, Fox 13 News caught up with the state director of AARP in Utah and asked about the top 3 issues for AARP members going into this election.
The first is Social Security. They're worried about whether or not Social Security will actually be there for them in the next 10 years. The second big issue seems to be caregiving. Somewhere around 435,000 family caregivers in the state of Utah. And it's a tough job. The third one that we're hearing all over the state is that property taxes are really going up.
AARP has set up a website to give people an unbiased one-stop shop for facts about when, where, and how to vote. That website is aarp.org/UTvotes. I'll tell you what, Dina, what a difference 48 hours makes. Huh?
Yeah, like a 30-degree difference for sure. It's definitely a lot colder out there. Here's what it looks like now outside. It's gray, it's dark, it's stormy. The cold front has arrived right on schedule. 46 degrees tonight. Now we've got the northwest winds at 18 miles per hour. So that front came through a couple hours ago. You heard the thunderstorms with it. Boy, pretty exciting night around here. Had some good precipitation totals today too. Over an inch of liquid precipitation here in Olympus Cove. Snow Basin had a dusting of snow and about an inch of rain. At the History Museum, a little over 6/10. We got over half an inch here at the Salt Lake City Airport as well. In Ogden, about a third of an inch of rain. It's still going out there, and this front's getting its act together. We're still going to see more action tonight. We're not quite done with this yet, so we've got some snow now along I-15 as well, going north of the Utah border here over into Idaho, into southern Idaho over by Malad Pass. And then we've got some storms now moving into the Cache Valley and even some snow over by Tony Grove and Bear Lake. Boy, exciting night. Some thunder, some lightning all along I-15 from Nephi, and now pushing just kind of to the south of Heber over by Strawberry Reservoir. That's going to light up the skies there shortly. And Cedar City, no slouch here. We're just getting all the rain's going to, everybody's going to get their shot. We're going to give it to everybody tonight, of course. Equal opportunity rain. So we've got more showers now moving into the Cedar City area. So you're going to see see some action tonight, some thunderstorms and some heavy rain bursts and gusty winds too. We've got it all for you. 30 miles per hour there in Ogden and 33 miles per hour in Provo. So a busy night with a cold front, heavy rain and mountain snow. 26-mile-per-hour wind gusts here in St. George. So the National Weather Service has issued a winter weather advisory, and that does include places like Ogden. So you're going to be expecting about 2 to 4 inches of snow there. Wow, and even on the benches and even down on the valley floors. Winter storm warning for highest elevations, and that starts tonight. Last through tomorrow night. And if that wasn't enough insult to injury here, we also have in these blue areas a freeze watch and a high wind watch for late tomorrow night into Saturday, because we're going to have some downslope winds on the backside of this storm. So how much snow are we going to see here? So our highest elevations, 10 to 20 inches, is a nice set of numbers to look at. Bench locations, more like 2 to 4 inches there. Even here in the Salt Lake City Valley on the floors, we're going to see some slushy snow around. And those high elevation passes, though, along into the Tushers here, and if you're getting down to the Panguitch area, you're going to have some slippery roads tomorrow. And liquid precipitation too, anywhere from about a ½ inch to an inch is a nice estimate, a good number. And as some of that precipitation wraps up tomorrow in the evening, south central Utah like Bryce Canyon, you'll see a little bit extra. Here's the cold front moving through right now. Nice, really clear demarcation here on the contour lines. You can see the blue colors and the green, and that's where the cold front is, right in between, kind of stalling out. And as it moves across our state tonight, we'll still see more precipitation with that frontal passage. Really, Futurecast just lights it on up. So we're expecting a nice area, a burst of precipitation tonight, and some of that will be rain. And then as the cooler air comes in, we'll be switching over to some of that snow as well. Again, most lower locations going to be seeing some rain mixing with snow. Highest elevation seeing the most snow. Now, as that storm begins to push away late on Friday night, we'll still see a little bit of this back end of this wraparound precipitation. But the other issue, as that storm pulls this way to the east, on the other side of that, we got that counterclockwise circulation. That cold air funnels down our canyons, so we could be seeing that downslope wind on Saturday morning. What a storm. We got a lot of stuff tonight. So we've got the rain and snow tonight. So the worst of the roads will be overnight tonight into Friday morning. And then we do have very cold temperatures as well tomorrow, only up to 53. By the second half of the day in northern Utah, everything should be pulling out of here, but it is still going to be very cold. Temperatures in southern Utah today were in the 80s, tomorrow only in the 60s with wind and rain. Still a few isolated showers on Saturday. Nice weather across the state, though, really starts at the beginning part of next week. And then here on Friday for northern Utah, we have our mixing rain and snow, and then for Saturday, we actually got a few sun and clouds, but it is going to be a little bit on the cool side, and then we return back into the 70s for next week. We'll be right back.
Tonight on the path to the White House, early in-person voting began today in North Carolina, just a few days behind Georgia. Both are key battleground states in this year's election. Officials in North Carolina have been scrambling in the aftermath of Hurricane Helene to make sure people were able to cast their ballots today. Some polling places were relocated, and the State Board of Elections has been directing people on its website how to vote if they lost their ID in the storm. Displaced voters have also been able to request new absentee ballots. After DNA testing, Israel's foreign minister has confirmed the death of Yahya Sinwar. He's the Hamas leader accused of being the architect of the October 7th attack last year. The Israeli military says Sinwar was among 3 militants killed in Gaza today when an Israeli tank fired at a building suspected of having suspicious movement inside. Sinwar was born in a refugee camp and spent years in an Israeli prison before coming into power with Hamas. The Israeli military describes Sinwar as a dead man walking following the October 7th attack. Right now, President Biden is in Germany. The trip was originally planned for last week, but the president postponed due to Hurricane Milton. The trip is to discuss Russia's invasion of Ukraine with leaders of Germany, France, and Britain. This comes as Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky urges Western allies to back his so-called victory plan to end the war with Russia. Leaders are also expected to talk about the growing conflict in the Middle East. Coming up, UDOT's Cottonwood Canyon sticker program is back. How they're beefing up enforcement. Plus, the Great Salt Lake, the Colorado River, water conservation, property taxes, and a whole lot more were discussed at a water policy summit today.
A rule implemented by the Utah High School Activities Association earlier this year kept a Juan Diego high school football senior, originally from Australia, off the field all season long. How a court decision today changed all of that.
Welcome back to Fox 13 News at 9. We're taking a live look along US 89 and Main Street in Springville, where you can see that the rain is really coming down. Anyone with doubts about whether summer has departed and fall has arrived ought not to wonder after the weather up here in northern Utah tonight, Dina.
Well, finally, it's about time, right? It starts getting cooler, although a lot of people really like the warm and sunny days forever. I mean, that's great, but we could use some liquid coming out of the sky, which is what we have tonight. So there was a live look outside there. It's cloudy here in town, and we've had some showers throughout the evening. We're just looking at the weather camera there in Springville, and we're definitely seeing some active weather in Utah County for sure. And some active weather going to the Cache County area as well. Cache and Rich County getting in some rain, thunderstorms, and even some higher elevation snow tonight, and that will continue through the night. We do have some thunderstorms now to the east of Provo and heading up into Highway 40 over by the Deer Creek Reservoir and by Heber City, Soldier Summit, and of course Highway 6. Yeah, that may not be in the best condition tonight, and more thunderstorms moving into Cedar City as well. So the cold front moving through the state and everybody getting in on the action tonight. We have that winter weather advisory that has been posted because we are expecting winter-like conditions and a winter storm warning for our highest elevation. So tonight, that strong cold front, which has already moved through Salt Lake and is now progressing through the state overnight, we'll see the heaviest precipitation in the overnight and early morning hours. Do expect winter driving conditions, especially at our higher mountain passes. And it is going to get cold and windy as well. Cold front now moving through. You can really see it here just to the, really it's between Salt Lake and Provo, and it's going to head southward throughout the night. So coming in a little while, we'll tell you how much snow and rain we'll expect and how long it's all going to stick around.
Dina, thank you. A federal judge today issued an injunction against the Utah High School Activities Association, suspending a rule that restricts foreign student athletes from competing at the varsity level. Today's injunction made it possible for a Juan Diego high school student from Australia to play in tonight's game against Grantsville. Fox 13 News reporter Chris Arnold is at that game tonight. Chris, this is an emotional issue.
Yeah, Bob, you're right. And such a memorable night for Zach Shimakowski, a senior kicker and punter for the Juan Diego football team, getting to take the field for the very first time this season. You know what makes this even more special is that his parents from Melbourne, Australia, here tonight to watch him play for the first time since his junior season. Now, it was his junior season where Zach suited up with absolutely no issue for the Juan Diego football team. Beginning this year, the Utah High School Activities Association implemented a rule prohibiting foreign students that were legally in the U.S. on F1 visas from playing varsity sports. A lawsuit was filed on Zach's behalf stating that the rule constitutes illegal discrimination. Now, plaintiffs simultaneously filed a motion for temporary restraining order and a preliminary injunction with their complaint. That temporary restraining order granted earlier today. Now, I spoke with Zach's parents who said it's not only a special night for them, but for their son as well.
He's been here and trained with the team every day, you know, and he's done everything that was asked of him as part of a team.
We're both ecstatic. It's a mixture of being really relieved, but really proud of what he's done, and also just overjoyed that he's finally out there on the field.
Well, Zach released a statement through his attorney ahead of the game tonight saying, quote, "I'm very grateful the court gave me the chance to rejoin my team and play football tonight. I'll try to do my best to help our team win." Now, he went on to say, "I'm really looking forward to the playoffs. I hope all high school students here in Utah on a visa like me also get the chance to play the sport they love. It's a privilege to be here in America. Now again, tonight is senior night here at Juan Diego, but it's not the last time Zach will get to take the field. Juan Diego is scheduled to play in a playoff game next week. Now I did also reach out to the Activities Association after hours tonight and left them a message about what took place today and this decision. I've yet to hear back at this time. For now, live here in Draper, Chris Arnold, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Chris, thank you. A construction worker was found dead at a Lehigh site this morning after failing to return home last night. Crews responded to a report of a person entrapped in heavy machinery at 3300 North, 200 West, just after 8 this morning. They found the man's body pinned against a boom forklift. Fire officials say the man's wife went to search for him when he didn't come home last night.
It appeared that the patient had been working on a boom forklift, and while doing that, somehow he became entrapped. The boom trapped him between the engine compartment, the cab, and the boom.
Battalion Chief Hatfield says it appears the equipment came down on the victim, but that the incident is still being investigated. He added that OSHA is at the site investigating. The identity of the victim has yet to be released. The search is on for this white cargo van, which police believe was involved in a deadly hit and run in Layton. They say the driver hit a 41-year-old man who was crossing Main Street at 1120 North just after 8 last night and then took off. The van is described, as you can see, as older with a distinct single window on the passenger side sliding door. Investigators say it'll have substantial front end damage to the hood, grille, and passenger side headlight. If you see it, call Layton Police. 2 people were killed in a wrong-way crash on I-15 near Cove Fort in Millard County early this morning. UHP says someone drove southbound in the northbound lanes, hitting a truck head-on. The driver of the wrong-way car and a juvenile passenger in the truck died. The driver of the truck and 2 other juvenile passengers are hospitalized with serious injuries. UDOT is beefing up its Cottonwood Canyon sticker program to make driving through the canyons efficient with stricter enforcement of traction laws. Thanks to new legislation passed earlier this year, UDOT is working with local police agencies, mainly during the morning commute and on stormy or busy days. Nearly 400 people visited the UDOT building in Cottonwood Heights today to get their tires inspected.
We are really committed to helping, to educating and helping people realize early on in the process this year that you're going to need good tires, a 5-30-second tread to get into the canyons, or you have to be chained up, and if you don't, you'll be turned around.
Now, you don't need a sticker to drive through the canyons, but if you do participate in the sticker program, it just means that during enforcement periods, you can drive straight through. Today, Utah House Speaker Mike Schultz hosted a water policy summit at This Is the Place Heritage Park. State lawmakers discussed the latest developments on protecting the Great Salt Lake, ensuring Utah gets its fair share of water from the Colorado River, and other big issues.
Every part of the state has different needs, different water issues, but collaboratively we can come together as a state.
I feel like we're heading in the right direction, but we have a long way to go.
The Colorado River agreements expire in 2026. The legislature will consider any water bills when they meet in January. If you build it, they will come. Doesn't just apply to baseball. We'll take you to a new soccer field in the Salt Lake Valley and explain how it will be around for generations to come. And she's 101 years young. We'll introduce you to one of the top competitors who received multiple gold medals in several sports at the Huntsman World Senior Games in St. George. Five-year-old Charlotte Muller of South Jordan celebrates her 6th birthday next week, and sadly, it will likely be her last. Known by Charlie to her family and friends, she was diagnosed with terminal cancer in July. This news comes just 4 months after she was declared cancer-free following a year of chemotherapy. With mounting medical bills and no more vacation time left, donors have stepped in to give Charlie, her parents, and her little sister Maggie the best remaining time possible at the happiest place they know.
Where did you want to go again? Disney World. What? I never would have guessed that.
We have people who are willing to take away some of the peripherals so that we can focus on what really matters, which is making the most of every single second, every single minute, every single hour with Charlie.
Doctors have told the Mollers that Charlie has a few weeks to 2 months perhaps to live. A GoFundMe page created by a family member has exploded with support. It currently has more than $20,000 pledged. There are a record number of athletes at this year's Huntsman World Senior Games in St. George for those 50 and older. One of its most decorated competitors is well qualified to compete both in her age and in her ability. Eva Sorensen of Alexandria, Virginia, who was just 101 years old, took the gold in bowling at the games earlier this week. Today, she added another gold in shuffleboard, competing against people half her age.
That's my secret to getting older. And I'm not going to quit. I'm going to make 110 at least.
Nobody doubts that. Eva, congratulations. The World Senior Games are in their 37th year now. Sorensen first competed more than 15 years ago, and she initially came to watch her daughter, Peg Moyer, compete. Peg turns 78 next week. Well, today, Salt Lake County opened their newest athletic field in Murray.
Inside of the foot, outside of the foot, with the right side first. Inside of the foot, outside of the foot with the left side first, and then we'll grow from there.
This field might look a little different because water or no water, it'll stay the same evergreen color year-round. This synthetic field of dreams is designed to save 50,000 gallons of water a day and more than 7 million gallons of water every year.
One of the advantages of a turf like this is that you can play all year on this kind of turf as opposed to like a cold grass that gets hardened and muddy. So it's a benefit for all of us who love sports.
It's a beautiful field. I think it's gorgeous. I mean, like perfect turf, perfect speed, it's like perfect to play on.
The whole project cost $5.7 million.
Well, good evening. We do have a winter-like storm moving through tonight, so active weather continues with rain, and we're even going to see some snow and more wind. We'll have a breakdown of all the details straight ahead.
And later in sports, we're 24 hours out from BYU's latest test, a rematch against Oklahoma State. And the Broncos in play on a Thursday, all as a rising star with in-state ties goes down for the season. Back in a bit.
Welcome back to Fox 13 News at 9. We're taking a live look at Provo Canyon at Meadow Drive, where you can see in the camera that the snow is kind of blowing sideways now. And Dina, I was in the garage the other night and I was looking at the our new electric snowblower that Diane bought me.
It's your fault then. You brought this upon us.
All I know is that I better start charging those batteries because we're going to need them before we know it.
Yeah, before you know it, it'll be ski season, right? And then we'll all be so happy. I mean, at least I will be.
Yeah.
Well, hey, here's what it looks like outside today. We had some of the touch of the first snow around, and you could see in between the clouds as they cleared tonight. Nice shot here of some of the snow up above the Cache Valley. Just beautiful. The cold front's come through now. Can you feel it? We had the thunder, the lightning, some small hail, and the gusty winds out of the northwest. The wind shifted a few hours ago. Cold front come in, and now the temperatures are taking a tumble. Precipitation totals have been impressive so far, and we're not done just yet. But over an inch of rain reported at Timpanogos Cave, Mountain Dell, about an inch of rain there, Colville, about 6/10 of an inch, and even in Draper got about ½ inch. Same with the airport here in Salt Lake City. Over ½ inch of rain fell today. So we've got that cold front traversing through now, and with that we have some extra rain and even some snow at higher elevations. So our precipitation now moving along the Utah-Idaho border for some of us, getting in the Bear Lake area, seeing some snow there, and just to the west of Ogden. So we're starting to see a little bit of action there over by Willard Bay, so some more thunderstorms expected there. And for Provo, we've got some storms that moved through and now going over the Deer Creek Reservoir area and up by Heber. We'll start to see some action throughout Wasatch County in about the next 20 minutes or so, if it's not already raining for you. And for Cedar City and over by Beaver, you also have rain and thunderstorms. It's going to be an active night all around. Everybody getting in on the action tonight, so we're going to see a very active weather night with a lot of precipitation, some of it heavy at times. Winter weather advisory has been issued by the Weather Service. That's for our counties that you see here in this lighter shade of purple, and that's for tonight, and it goes through tomorrow morning because we are expecting that rain to change over to snow even at some of the lower elevations. Winter storm warning for everybody in pink, and that's mostly up higher. And adding insult to injury, we still have our freeze watch as well. That's for the counties in the bluish color there, and our high wind watch, that's for late Friday night into Saturday, because we're expecting some downslope winds on the backside of this storm, and that could create hazardous conditions as well. Our snow totals mostly in the highest elevations is where we're most concerned, and our high mountain passes. So the western Uintas here, 10 to 20 inches can be expected. Cottonwoods 18 inches. You know, it's not unusual in October to get a really big mountain dumping storm like this, so this one's actually a little bit late. We typically get some high elevation snows around now or earlier even. So we'll expect some lighter amounts of snow at the lower elevations and mostly rain for those lower elevations, but there'll be some snow mixing in. Anywhere from ½ to about an inch is a nice ballpark number that you can expect in about the next 24 hours, most of it coming tonight and early tomorrow. Temperature change really taking a tumble here. We're 24 degrees colder than we were 24 hours ago, and you can see clearly where the cold front is now moved through the Provo area, and it's sinking southward, so that nice cool air coming in, and that's going to give us some of that rain mixing with the snow. Cold front goes south, and you can see the timestamp on here late tonight. You've got the rain, some thunderstorms, and then also that snow is going to be a problem as well, because we do have that cold air settling in. Now tomorrow that storm begins to push off to the east, so we'll see some of that moving out, and by the late day in the afternoon for northern Utah it should start to clear out, and you'll still have some wraparound moisture in the southern portion of the state. So cold night, wet night tonight, around 40 degrees in Salt Lake City. That's the coldest we have been in quite some time, and then tomorrow will only be in the 50s with that active weather as well, wrapping up in the afternoon. 60s in southern Utah, but then we're back to the 70s by the second half of the weekend. And for the Wasatch Front, 50s tomorrow with the wind and the rain mixing with the snow, and then we'll be back in the 70s by the early part of next week.
The Saints, after scoring 91 points over their first 2 games, came into Thursday losers of 4 straight, but they do have the injury excuse. Hosting the Broncos tonight, Taysom Hill missed his 3rd straight game with sore ribs, while prior to game time, the Weber State product Rashid Shaheed was declared done for the year after undergoing season-ending knee surgery. Tough loss. He was the Saints' leading receiver, not to mention special teams threat. Here's the Ute Cody Barton getting to New Orleans QB Spencer Rattler. The sack and knocks the ball loose, recovered by Denver. More on him in a second. Javonte Williams, healthy looking whole as he waltzes in untouched. Williams across the pylon again, out of the locker room, this time stuttering his way across, and then to turn it into a glorified Bronco route, the former Brighton Bengal, before he was up on the hill. Jaquan McMillan this time at Rattler, right into the arms of guess who? Barton can backpedal in. 52-yard fumble recovery, 33-10. Denver has now won 4 of their last 5. Bountiful needing a win Thursday to wrap up a Region 5 crown. A loss gives it to Roy after a lightning delay. Vilamai Tapatutai keeps his feet and has plenty more for Woods Cross. That's a heck of a run for the Wildcat lead, but it did not last long. CK Fekatoa weaves an absolute basket here. Call it a 24-yard skip for him. Then the pass game. Emerson Geilman has Britton Tidwell down at the 1. The senior capping the drive himself. This one currently in the 4th with the Redhawks up 31-7. Last November, BYU looked as if they were about to squeak out a bowl opportunity. A 5th consecutive chance to get that 6th win. The Cougars led nationally ranked Oklahoma State by 18 at the half and 11 after 3 quarters, only to fall in double overtime. Fast forward to the present, and things are different now. Blue ranked 13th in the country and already at 6 wins, while the Cowboys have hit a funk. Losers of 3 straight to Utah, Kansas State, and West Virginia. BYU a 9-point favorite to stay undefeated tomorrow night, with Oak State doing a late one in Provo and a chance to turn the page on the disappointing end to last season.
This is a game where we know we're going to get all of what they got, and at the same time, this is a game where we remember late November. We remember that. So we're coming out ready this week because we know we own one.
You know, those last 2 games this season, there were just a couple plays in those games that go differently, and, coulda, shoulda, woulda made a bowl game. It was definitely a motivational factor through the offseason, just remembering that game and a couple of other games that we really just kind of handed to our opponent, and we let that fuel us in the way that we trained and prepared to come into this year.
Baseball, the Guardians could really use Game 3 of the ALCS with the Yankees taking the first 2. Aaron Judge 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts to start. Not that time, though. New York with 3 in the 8th and 1 in the 9th to go up 5-3. BYU product Daniel Scheinman was 0 for 4 in his first playoff start, but Cleveland brought up Yansky Noel to pinch hit for Schneemann in the 9th, ended up saving the day with that shot to force an extra. Then in the 10th, David Fry for the win. Wow, that was a good one, 7-5. The final there. And in the National League, Mets-Dodgers, where Mookie Betts lit Citi Field on fire, 4 for 5 with 4 RBIs, scores a pair right here, including Shohei Ohtani. Ohtani crossing the plate 4 times in this game. Betts adding a 2-run jack as well, as the Dodgers take a 3-1 series lead, 10-2. Wow. Time of year, baseball and football, blend the 2 together along with all kinds of other stuff.
Yeah, and this is going to be a big game for BYU on Saturday.
Tomorrow night, yeah. It'll
tomorrow
be cold,
night, yeah.
but it should be a good one if you can shiver your way through it.
We'll wrap up, and we'll be back right after this. Thanks for watching Fox 13 News at 9. QuickCast is up next.